Well, it says we're live.
Okay. If you're live, what are you live on? YouTube?
Say again.
So where are we live to? Like YouTube
YouTube.
or
Yeah, YouTube.
oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't see anything on here that says we're live myself. Usually they tell you, oh, you're live now, but
It's no, because you're just seeing the meeting,
oh, okay.
right? And I'm pumping the meeting through OBS, and then I'm pumping that to uh to YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, I think too, because I have it on my TV out in the living room.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Right on.
So
So
I
yeah, you
mean,
can
you
do
know,
live.
what's that?
So you can do lives. Nice.
And I can have as many guests on as I want to do lives. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. But hey, why not take advantage of the opportunity while we got a minute here? And let's just say this: that um, we're welcoming Pearlo Wisdom into the fold, man. Right?
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
We're welcoming Pearlo Wisdom into the fold. Um, he was with us at the very beginning, and
Yeah.
he has branched off and become his own standout star, and he's quite the capper now. And congratulations to Perlo and all your great success, man. That's so awesome, dude. I'm so happy to see you make it to where you want to be. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I only started doing the handicap portion of what I was doing so I could legitimize myself as knowing, like, I was just, who the hell knows who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I have a tendency to say things that is not really going to follow the mainstream all that. Sounds a little crazy sometimes. And the only way that you're going to know that what I'm saying has any legitimacy is there has to be like something to say, hey, this guy's good. Unless you hear me say something and then like a month later it happens. But who does that, right?
Yeah,
So that's the
exactly.
only reason why I went to the handicapping side of it. Now I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
But you're
I,
good
I
at it though,
enjoy
man.
anything attached to hockey, anything.
Well,
So it
right, but
doesn't
I
matter.
mean you're good at it though.
Yeah, yeah. I've become very good at it. Definitely,
Well, but see,
definitely
I
very
think
good at
you already see. I think you already were already good at it. You're just now getting recognized for being good at
it. Yeah,
it.
I'm being recognized for what I do for sure, and that was the whole point to begin with. I can understand why people would listen to my videos that I did before I met you, and I didn't get much play, and people would be like, who's this guy, like, why would I? And I get it because I would probably do the same thing, especially when you kind of have off the wall predictions and you're hearing people much more with much more exposure say something completely opposite. Why would I listen to you? So what I started doing was I just started giving scores in the beginning of my show, and I started getting the scores pretty close to right a lot, so that would start to do it. But I'm bringing this up simply because you were the first person that saw my whatever I was doing and said, "Hey, this guy's got something here." So when we started doing the show, I was doing a 2 hours a day show, five
Yeah, I
days a week.
know.
We were getting some pretty good traction. It was during COVID there. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, like COVID hit and finances like everybody else, and then COVID ended. And I'm in Canada where you're getting COVID money, which was good, but it
okay.
couldn't keep me sustained, and I had to move on to other things. But I always told myself if there was never opportunity, and you were looking for some of that, I would go back. So when we had when an opening came up and you came to me, I was like, for sure, I'll do. Well, I'll go back to it again because it was a lot of fun. I love that show. That show was so cool. I just got to talk about no matter what was going on in my life and whatever was happening. As soon as you hit that time to that play and time to go for 2 hours. It was just hockey. It was just a wonderful escape. I enjoyed it, even if I didn't get, like people like, and we got lots of people starting to watch. We were really making some good traction. It was a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it, and I definitely was going to take any opportunity I could do to do it again
Yeah,
or
man.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's it was great to watch how things progress for you. You know what I mean, and watch to see how people now pay attention to what you're saying now. You know what I mean, and it's really good. You know, it's really good to see that. You know, they're not just tuning in just to see that. Hey, this guy's a capper, but he knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff, and that's one of the reasons why I always kind of gravitated toward you because I felt that you had so much knowledge about the game of hockey. You know what I mean? That I always wanted to just kind of tap into that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I lived,
plus
eat,
you're a
and breathe.
pretty cool dude, so and
Yeah, I
you
lived, eat, and breathe it from the time I was young. And it's just I eventually said to myself, I better do something with this because it takes a lot of time out of my life just taking. So, yeah, and
tell
then
me
you
about it.
did so well for yourself with the prospects and everything. I love watching that stuff, and you got. Yeah, it's been a cool angle to go down. It's been really fun to watch you continue in that area for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's been really lucky. We've established some relationships with some teams. Do you know what I mean? Of which I'll be, you know, calling on again here in the very, very near future. We just got uh, Mikey Burchild from the United States National Development Program, and man, what a thrill it was to speak to that young man, and what a thrill it was to get to talk to them. And I'm seeing a lot of guys now coming to Happy Valley at Penn State. Now we
Oh, God, yeah,
now
unbelievable,
Now
eh?
check this out, right?
Who
So
are all the guys so far that
no,
are?
yeah, okay, right. So hold on. So last year, Aiden Fink played with Penn State,
Mhm,
right? He is one of the Prospect Watch alums,
right,
right? He was one of the first kids that we interviewed, Aiden Fink, and he got drafted by Nashville Predators. Okay, and then he committed to play for Penn State. So he's been up there at Penn State now 2 years. So now another kid that we interviewed, Jackson Smith,
yeah,
who just got drafted this
mhm,
2 weeks ago, right? Is now committed to go to Penn State. Now that's
mhm,
two Prospect Watch alums now playing for Penn State.
yeah,
Now you got the number one pick from the Flyers committed now to go to Penn State in Porter Martone. And you got the potential number one pick from 2026 in McKinnon going to
yeah.
Penn State. Now, I
That'd be
don't know
cool, eh?
about you, my man, but Penn State was 2.5 periods away from hoisting a Frozen Four championship last year. Right?
Yeah,
They just got outshined by Boston. Okay,
mhm,
let's face it. That was just there was no way that Penn State was going to be able to hold a candle to that team. They tried, they played really well, they played really strong, but in the end, they just were too talented for Penn State, right? Now let's flip the script now, where you got Porter Martone, who was sixth overall drafted in the first round.
mhm.
Jackson Smith, what was he?
I think it was 11th or
10th or
12th,
11th, right?
something like
Something,
that.
some. No, I think McQueen was 10th or something.
I'll tell you in a second. I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
it
Let me
here.
know.
But while you're talking,
Yeah,
I'll tell
okay. But at any rate, so he gets drafted. Now he's going to go to Penn State. That's Jackson Smith. Then you got Porter Martone, who was drafted by the Flyers, is now going to go to Penn State, or is going to be committed to go to Penn State. Now, there's going to be a conversation with him here in the next couple weeks whether or not he's going to try to either. So, with the new collective bargaining agreement and the new agreement that the NCAA and the Canadian Hockey League now have an agreement now to where a player can either play in juniors or in the NCAA as long as they're not signed to an NHL contract.
Mhm.
Okay, and so Porter Martone is going to have to make that decision with the Flyers. You know what I mean? With the way he's played in juniors, if he commits to playing for Penn State and then goes and plays at Penn State, he's not going to be able to sign a contract for the Flyers until
Until the end of the
right.
season. So yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean,
It was Columbus Blue Jackets, 14 overall. That's
14th. Yeah. Okay. So from Jackson Smith, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So and I think Penn State's going to be pretty freaking.
I guess. Yeah, I guess that's quite the group of kids going there. That's for sure. That's going to be a big change for Gavin McKenna. I'll tell you that because I don't know if you know anything about you probably know you don't know anything about Medicine Hat, but
Say again.
he was playing for Medicine Hat.
The Tigers. Oh, I know about Medicine Hat Tigers.
Yeah, you know the Tigers, but
Yeah.
you know what? The town. It.
No.
Let me put it this way: like he would have been calling his agent to go to college like right away. Medicine Hat's not the most fun place to be for a
Okay. Okay.
teenager.
Oh, so you've been to Medicine
Yeah,
Hat. Okay.
it's like a farmer. It's a farmer's town, and it's a farmer's town, and it's kind of like now you're going to Penn State, man. That'd be pretty exciting for that boy.
Well, okay, but you've never been to Penn State, so it's not that much far removed. Like to go to campus, the main campus itself. So the town of State College, where Penn
Yeah.
State is, it. So Penn State is technically an agricultural and medical college, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of farmland around the college
Yeah.
itself,
Hmm.
right? When you pan back from looking at Beaver Stadium, right, and you pan back, you don't see towns and cities and streets and stuff. No. You see farm fields.
Okay.
Okay, right? So it's
Yeah.
not going to be that far removed.
Well, I'll send you a video of Medicine Hat, and then
Oh, the town. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, but good for him. Um, it's going to be awesome to see him play. And then, of course, the AHL now has finally made the move. It forced them to make the move, and I knew they would. As soon as this happened, they had no choice. Kids can go play in the AHL now. They had to do it, and it was best for the kids for sure.
Finally, finally.
Had to be. Like,
Some
come
of
on,
the age
it's
restriction.
ridiculous. You got guys like Lafreniere who are way too good for junior, but still needs to grow into his body. The poor guy he lost development having to be on the Rangers, not getting minutes that he could have been getting in the AHL,
and
and that
and
just can't happen.
and
It
I'm
just
gonna
can't.
be this, and I'm gonna go out there on a limb and say the same thing with Bedard too.
Yeah, you could maybe. Yeah,
Okay, and and
you
and
could.
and the kid from Seattle too, that right kid.
Yeah, right. Would have been great to go to the AHL. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. So those are quite a few players that,
yeah,
although they were too good to be playing for their junior team,
yeah,
maybe not quite as good to be playing in the big club yet.
yeah.
But I mean, you know what I mean. So
So they could sign an AHL contract for 1 year, and you can do pretty well, like on in the AHL. Like you can make like decent 100, 150,000. You know. So they get to make a little money in their pockets. So they go back to junior and making what, 800 bucks a week, something like that, and you're
I
too good for everybody there. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
I don't know what they do in juniors. I don't know what that.
College, they don't make any money in college either. But
Well, see,
you,
now that's the thing that's changed now, where college athletes now are able to sign endorsement deals and
okay, yeah,
and that kind of stuff. I believe,
yeah,
or to help get some of the recognition, because they passed that thing a couple years ago here where the NCAA has to allow the student athlete to be able to profit off of their likeness being used.
of course, just
So,
makes sense. Makes sense.
okay, I mean,
So, and you only play on weekends, so you get a heck of a lot more practice time in college. You're playing against bigger kids, so you have time to get stronger. You're playing in junior, it's hard to hit the gym and bulk up because you're playing. You're either on the bus or you're playing or you're practicing. It's really tough to get
exactly.
where you need to be. So,
And they play 52 odd games or so, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That's a lot of games,
yeah,
right? That's not just weekend games, man. That's during the week games.
yeah.
You,
The only
you,
thing is it might kill off junior hockey. It might make it very difficult. They might have to do something with that, but we'll
well,
see.
I see, and that's what Russ was talking about too, about how that's going to definitely change the landscaping in junior hockey, and how prospects are going to be able to be how things are going to go with the prospects, because if they basically phase out junior hockey by allowing the kids now to sign an AHL contract, do you know what I mean? But see, I originally thought that that's what the AHL was originally supposed to be for, was because they're supposed to be the farm team, quote unquote, right?
Yeah,
For the big clubs. So that means that you dump all your prospects down there and let them play and get some time.
yeah.
Or
I
am
think
I
what's going
wrong
to
in that?
happen. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a junior teams. Then there's the AHL is going to turn into a true development team
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then there's going to be like they've tried several times, but you need the league to support it. A, a pro league for players that have, and when you go there, you basically said, okay, I'm not going to be an NHL player, and you don't get the chance. You don't really get as much of a chance to go to the NHL. A league where it's just below the NHL, but it's still a pro league, but it's not a developmental league. So they can take the players that they want. They could even do a draft from the AHL, and if guys don't make the NHL, they can go into that league or something. I think that's the way it's going to have to go down the road here, for it to
why?
really work.
Why do they need to have that? Why do you need to have a league where guys that can't make the NHL, why can't they just play in the AHL?
Because the owners are not making to make a team, and this is happening. There's already owners of AHL teams that are like, this is crazy. I want to have as much talent on my team as possible. So I don't want to be taking guys off my team because you got some kid who wants to play who's not as good as the guys I have on. It's not. It's not. My product is not as good as it could be for the fans, right? And we're not able to compete the way we want. Fans don't go there caring about developmental league. They want to see their team win games.
Yeah,
So, so you can have, but you could have a league ran developmental league below it, and you can buy that league, and the league supports you to make sure you make money while you do it. And then you could have a pro league for a bunch of places that are probably not going to be NHL teams, but you still get top notch hockey coming from those teams. I think that's where it's likely going to have to go. Something like that. I
see, I
don't.
don't think you're going to get that good of a product if you get that kind of a pro league of guys. I mean, I don't know. I'm
There's a lot of guys in the AHL right now that if you said I'll pay you $1 million, like make the salary like $1 million cap up there, they would go to that league in a heartbeat. And they've been there. They're 27 years old. They realize, okay, you know what? It doesn't look like I'm going to be getting in the NHL anytime soon. I don't want to go to Europe. I want to stay home here. And you say, okay, I'll give you, we'll pay you like $1 million. You're making 700, something like that, 800. They would go there. The question is, can you get fans to come watch it in that way? But I think you can, because AHL doesn't do too bad as long as you make sure you are in the right cities. So the AHL would basically be like like a junior league funded by the NHL.
See, I would much rather it go the other way, Perlo. I'd much rather it go the other way, where the AHL becomes that league of guys that are, tweener guys that are never going to make the
Yeah,
NHL.
okay, I see what you mean. And the junior would get funding from the NHL because it's important to the
Because it's
development.
already there, it's already established. They
Yeah,
already got leagues, they already
that's a
got
good
all that
idea.
stuff, and you
That's a
know
good
what I
idea.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. So the league should be funding junior in order to bring up prospects that are maybe not going to be able to go to college, or all of those sort of things like that, that to keep that league in there, you know. And yeah, maybe
Exactly.
just
And then I think,
Canadian kids from going to college. It, if it depends on their, it's like, what if your marks aren't high enough and all that kind of stuff like that, right? So
I mean,
I don't
I,
know.
I think that would be a better approach because you already got lifer AHL guys already, right? So why not
Yeah,
just make the AHL be and combine that with the ECHL, right? So you have a full set of teams that and you're fully represented by everybody,
yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? And just have that as one league and instead of only playing, 62 games, play 82 games.
Yeah, because the people that got the kids going to the AHL too are only going to be kids that are good enough to play in the A. You would hope, because the league's going to have to make a decision. You know what the worry? You know what the concern is? That the the teams wanting to get kids to stay with them will say, we'll put you in the AHL, but they are actually not ready for the AHL. But their agents are like, the only way I'll let you draft me if you put me in the AHL right away. And they'll say, okay, because you say let you draft. Like, what do you mean? Players have that ability right now. I don't want, I'll sign with you long term if you let me go in the AHL right away. Something like that. That's what's happening right now in behind the scenes when you're talking about drafting and all of that stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Teams are
know.
trying to find angles to have these kids come in. Like, what's his name from the Winnipeg guy that went to Pittsburgh? I think we talked about this last time, and he's now playing on Pitts. They got him pegged as Pittsburgh's top line, and Winnipeg told him that, we don't see. We think you need more time, and I'll tell you who he is. He's got a cool name. I love his name. Uh,
Here's the other thing too. Not one man's trash is another man's treasure.
McGordy, Rucker McGordy, Rucker McGordy,
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that is a good hockey
Rucker
name.
McGordy,
That's a good
Rucker
hockey
McGordy.
name.
Yeah, I know it is. But he went to, when he told Winnipeg, look, I want to play right away, and if you're telling me to play right away, I'll go to Winnipeg. Winnipeg said okay, and then they drafted him, and then they became real to the realization that, hey, this kid's not going to be ready. That wasn't good for us to say, and they tried to sit down with him and say, look, we made a mistake. You're not ready. And he said, I want to be traded. So then he gets his agent to go around and find. He goes, I'm not signing along with you guys anymore. You told me you were going to play me, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not. I want to be traded.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's happening down there now.
Wow.
So that's the fear: is you start getting kids in this AHL league that are not ready, and you start killing them, and like, who's going to okay it? You own an AHL team and you have a team that's the NHL team that you're affiliated with says this kid's going to the AHL, and you're going, no, that kid not ready. And they say we told him he was going to the AHL, so he's going to the AHL. That's the concern about that AHL thing.
I don't think they can. I don't think they. I don't think teams should be able to have the ability to say that they can either allow that or offer that or have that as part of the negotiation because you haven't played a single minute. You haven't
No,
played a
no,
shift. You
no, no team should be saying, yeah, okay, we'll do that.
right. That
No team should be saying that.
okay, right? See, all
Yeah,
right. All right.
but you got teams like Winnipeg and Edmonton and stuff, and there's a lot of players that are like, I don't want to go to Winnipeg. Tell their agent, I don't want to be drafted by Winnipeg. Tell them right away, I don't want to go there. I don't want to play for them. I don't want to watch. So you're going to draft that kid, and then you say, and they're not getting anybody because ain't nobody want to live in Winnipeg. Sorry.
Okay,
And so
but
you're not able
but
to
James
draft.
Haggins wasn't drafted by the Islanders.
Yeah, I know. He was drafted by Boston beforehand, but he never went to the league and said, I only want to be. He never went and said, I only want to be drafted
Okay,
by the
well,
Islanders.
I mean, if you go to somebody and say that, and then I mean, of
If
course, now the
Boston, if he
Islanders
said, I
drafted
want to go to,
everybody else.
if he said, I want to go to the Islanders, and if you pick me, I'm only going to sign contracts until I'm a free agent and I'm going to be an Islander, then that's up to you. And that does happen.
But
Apparently, Matthew Tkachuk told the Calgary Flames that right away when they drafted him. I am not. I'm going. I want to go. I want to go play in the United States when I become a free agent. I'm going to the United States. He told them that right away. Draft me if you wish. I'll play hard for you. All that, but I'm going to the United States. I'm from the United States. It's my home. I love it. I want to go to the United States. Nothing wrong with that. Like people get mad and say, "Oh, these kids shouldn't have that kind of power."
and now he has two cups.
Now he has two cuts. But the cool thing about him is he said it right away. He wasn't. He didn't give any like he didn't
Yeah.
lie. Like he said it right away. Draft
So
me,
like so like
but
they knew before they even drafted him. Say, look here, and
mhm,
I want to play in the United States, so I'm only
yeah.
here so I don't get fined.
Well, not really. It's just
No, but
like
I
I
mean,
understand. I understand you have a team, and I'll play hard for your team. He said all that. I will if you draft me. I'm honored to be on Calgary Flame,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
my heart of hearts is I want to play in the U.S. Just like this Dobson kid. Heart of hearts, he wanted to be a Montreal Canadian. You can't really blame him for that.
Nope.
He's from PEI, which is right there. They're full of Montreal Canadiens
Yeah,
fans
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and if you know PEI, it's like this tight knit group. He missed home,
Yeah.
and now he gets to be so like. People get mad at him. I mean, but you worked your butt off your whole life to become as good as you are. How can you not blame? How can you blame these kids for wanting their dream? Their dream was to do what they're doing.
I mean, Giroux did it. He's now playing for Ottawa. I mean, he's
Yeah, it took him
from
a little longer, but
okay,
you know,
but he,
but he didn't want to leave Philadelphia at all. He loved Philadelphia,
I
right?
know, but
Yeah,
of all
he
the
did
other
end up
places he
going
was
there.
going to go, it was going to be Ottawa or no place. And he went to
Yeah,
Florida, but he didn't stay. You know what I mean? But
yeah, he didn't. He didn't. He wanted to go to Ottawa.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
But that's what the kids back in the day. You didn't have this. You got drafted by a team. That was it. You had no say. That was it. You were drafted by the team. Until they don't
You,
want you, you stay there.
it started with another sport, right? John
Basketball.
Elway was one of the first ones that said that, you know, if you draft me, I'm not going to sign with you. I'm going to go play baseball.
Oh,
So,
okay.
no, I mean, that's exactly what he did. They drafted him and he said, I'm going to go play baseball." And then they worked
Oh,
out a deal and he ended up going to Denver, right? Okay. And so,
wow.
the rest is history. But he was the first one, I think, that said he wasn't getting. And then Eli Manning came out and said the same thing, that I don't want to go to San Diego. I don't want to be drafted by the Chargers. I don't want to play for that team. Blah 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 blah. And guess who drafted him? The San Diego Chargers. No, wait. And then the New York Giants drafted Ryan Leaf, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they traded,
Okay.
right? So the Giants got Eli Manning and San Diego got Ryan Leaf.
They got the crap end of the stick.
Woo, boy. I
Leaf
mean,
is bad.
I don't know
Man.
what. I think it was probably because it was Marty Schottenheimer who was coach at the time of of San Diego and wasn't looking to go anywhere anytime soon, and he wasn't. Um, and so I don't think he wanted to play for Marty Schottenheimer, is what I understand the deal is. But okay, whatever. Who really cares? You know what I mean? So the
Doesn't
rest
matter
is
what the
history.
reasons are. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, now you're starting to see more and more of this now, where players are
Yeah.
coming out saying, look, I don't want to play for this team,
Mm,
and here's my take on it though. And this is the last thing I want to say here because I don't want to be on for too long. I just wanted to make a little test and just to see if this worked and whatever,
yeah.
whatever. But you should be thankful that you got drafted and be a professional like Kachuk was,
Yeah.
right?
I think he was more professional.
Look, I don't care if your heart is like if you're from Florida, you want to play for the Panthers, okay, fine. Well, when it was time to get drafted, did the Panthers pass on you? I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? So you want to go play for a team that passed on you?
Mm, different philosophy in those cases, but yeah.
Okay, I get you, but
Because they took, didn't they take Ekblad? I think they took Ekblad
I mean,
in
I don't
that
know.
draft.
I'm just saying,
I think they did. So
right? You
I
clearly
think
weren't drafted by the
I know
team
I
you.
was screaming at the Edmonton Oilers when they freaking didn't. They had Matthew Kachuk's jersey in their hand, and when I I can't remember who it was. I think it was Columbus took Dubois and didn't take Puya Harvey. They switched jerseys, and I was watching it, and I was like, no, because I loved Matthew Kachuk when he
Oh
was.
man,
I
if
just
he'd have played
loved.
for
Okay,
Edmonton,
how do you not draft that guy? I know Pugliarvi had killer shot and all that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's more than that. You got to have a guy. Like, you have to have a guy like that on your team, man.
all day
So,
long.
but and I didn't know at the time he had told Canadian teams that if you draft me, that I'm only going to be. But even so, 7 years he would have been there with McDavid. Oh, come on,
they might actually have won something, maybe
man. Oh, yeah.
instead of
So
instead of throwing a temper tantrum in the locker room after you lost.
yeah,
That
yeah. And
that
Pulley Harvey, I mean, Pulley Harvey should have been better than he was, but I guess he was
I agree,
quite the.
but that was not a good look for McDavid. That was not a good look for him. What he
When what?
did after last year, after losing last year.
When he cried and stuff
Well, some of the stuff that he said and some of the things that he did in the locker room, I think that was a little unbecoming.
last year or this last
Last
time?
year, I didn't see anything from this year.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything from this year, but
What in particular? What were you talking like when you?
just some of the stuff that he said. I mean, how he reacted. I think he was. I understand you're emotional. I understand you just lost the Stanley Cup.
I was gonna say I totally agree with you. I was just waiting to see if that's what you meant. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You're emotional and all that, but man, you can't talk to people like that. You can't treat people like that. You get slapped upside the head.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I even think like they showed them in the room crying like a baby because he lost. I
I don't
tell
care
you
about
right
that.
now, I do. I think Corey Perry went to him afterwards and said, "What are you doing? You get up off the floor and you like he. This is a guy who has made the finals how many times? Okay, he hasn't won a cup, but he still made the final. We don't cry about losses. What the
I
hell are you
mean,
doing?
it's
You're
a
the
flipping
leader of
game.
the team, and you're crying in the corner like a baby because you lost a game. Come on, man. That's that. We need confidence from our. I could see a little bit. You're hurt a little bit, but he was like in a puddle on the floor. Like, Come on, man.
That's the other thing I was talking about too. Is that the fact that he was just utterly just unconsolable. I mean, look, I get
Yeah,
it. I get it. But you can't be like that in front of your teammates. You need to be like that, in the privacy of your own house.
I suppose. I would even say that I mean, if you're going to do that, but I would say even say you shouldn't even have that kind of hurt in you, where you have confidence in yourself and the team. You can just say you can, have a little tear because you lost and go, we still kick ass. We're still great. We're still this. We're still that. I'm not crying like a baby in a corner. I'm not saying that it's wrong to cry, but anybody listening out there, I'm not saying, but that's not the time to
Right,
do
that's what
it.
I mean. That was not the
That's
time.
what I'm saying. That's not the time.
Okay. I'm with you 100%. So,
So, but
thanks,
I agree
Perlo.
with you. And this year, I made a prediction on the Ice Guys. By the way, make sure you sub up to the Ice Guys for next year. Voted best sports handicap podcast in North America. So you might want to check it out. But I predicted McDavid will not be back in Edmonton. So we can do something on that later. You can actually watch I have it on TikTok, but I'm starting to do YouTube. So I don't think he's going to be back. His words were,
I'm in
if
no
I
hurry.
believe, if I believe, if I believe Edmonton can win over and over and over again, he's been there 10 years now, and he's seen when he lost that last game, he had a look of resignation in his face.
Yes, he
He had a
did.
he had a look that said, "I
I'm
gave
done.
everything I got. This team behind me is not good enough. It's worse than last year. We did everything we could. It's time to move on." And it's not because he hate doesn't like Edmonton. It's not because he doesn't like the team. It's because Edmonton is a tough market to build a team. He wants to win a cup. He gave it 10 years. I believe he's moving on. Unfortunately, I think he's going to make a bigger mistake and go to Toronto, but that's another thing altogether.
Oh, wow.
That would be
Wow, we,
terrible.
we should definitely do something on that one. Oh,
We'll
man.
have to do it on that. Yeah. All right.
Nothing like
Yeah.
ending the show on a bombshell.
Yeah, well, no, I'm ending the show on something that you can watch our next video as we discuss Edmonton going to Toronto and why, all of those sort of things like that. But I'm glad to be part of the team again,
Thank
and
you,
we're gonna
brother.
we're gonna rock. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
You
man.
guys are gonna all enjoy it out there in the land because it's a special thing that we have here, and you're gonna enjoy it a
I like
lot.
it.
I'm sure.
Yep, for sure, for sure. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for the test here, Perlo. We'll catch you all later on the next one.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna put that out, but you might as well.